y'all, it's Hope here, bringing you perspective with hope. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I thank y'all for your support this far, and I just ask that you guys keep on supporting this process and this content. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and check out our testimonies, God conversations, and more on my YouTube channel. Be sure to share, comment, like, and subscribe. All right, so what's your name? Tell us who you are.
I'm Dorcia. I am Hope's cousin.
So actually, hey, I know we look how we look, but she is actually my first cousin. So my mommy and her mommy are sisters. Now, people do not think that. Sometimes people think that Dorcia is my mama or my auntie, but she is actually my first cousin. Yeah, do you want to elaborate on that at all?
It's okay. I get to be the older cousin. I get to watch over the babies, and I get to be blessed to see the different generations that I have changed diapers.
Mm-hmm. And now she, well, not now because they're out of diapers, but her changing my children's diapers and being a huge part of their lives has definitely been a blessing. I think it's interesting because, so you grew up in
Delaware.
Okay, so our family is pretty much from Delaware. And so you have you have a lot of vantage points that I have personally never seen. I grew up in Texas. This is all I know. I did visit Delaware quite often as a little girl. But you've been a lot of different places. Tell us about that.
Well, what I think about the most is how I grew up. I grew up in Delaware in a rural area with 5 generations of family. So there were a lot of great grandparents, great grandparents, great aunts and uncles, and plenty of cousins. And growing up in a rural small town where everybody in the town is related one way or another, everybody's family. My mother and her oldest brother were born and raised in Philadelphia. So that's more, and it was in South Philly, so that's, really a city, in the hood, and we visited all the time. So I got the advantage, and my cousins had the advantage of those who lived in the city knew about the city, and those who came to visit us in the country, we knew about the country and having chickens out on the farm and cows and pigs, and then going to the city where you had street lights instead of just porch lights like you had in the country. And the street lights stay, we get to see different things in that experience. And then once I graduated from high school, about a year after that, I got to move to the South. And I had never really been to the South. So growing up in the North, and growing up where we were going to D.C. and New York and New Jersey and, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and different places where you would actually have some country and city. But coming to the South was a whole nother something else. Woo!
What part of the South, even though I know this answer, what part of
Montgomery, Alabama. Woo! And to me, my experience was, yes, time warps do exist. Because it was like a time warp. I used to think, okay, they're still there. How could you have Martin Luther King and Jesse Jackson and all of these people that we know that fought for our civil rights and did all the marching there, and you're so close to Atlanta, Georgia, you're like just a couple hours away. How could you not go beyond that? Like, I would still see Black women in maid uniforms in the back of a white lady's car, and they would get out and help her and shop, and they actually had on maid uniforms. And then the people who actually had college education, but they still felt like they was being held back, and they had good jobs and making good money and college education. How do you feel like you're still being held back? And you was right there with the march and the civil rights people. And I'm thinking, you've been right here in this hood experiencing that, where I just heard about it in the history books. You know, I had history because we got to see the Statue of Liberty in New York. We got to go to D.C. and visit in the White House. We seen the Liberty Bell. We seen Lincoln's statue. But to actually come to the South, it was like my first time seeing cotton. And my first time feeling like we were at a disadvantage. I never thought we were ever at a disadvantage, but I guess we were blessed to come up with our family-owned land. And we didn't rent. We owned our own property and things like that. But I like the fact that I'd had that experience. And because we went to Alabama, it helped when we moved to Texas. Because it was like, okay, we're already ready. So to me, I just learned that wherever you go in life, God has people. And they may not be blood relatives, but they are like family.
Yeah.
And they're there for you just like your family, you would expect your family to be. And just building relationships with them. And the only difference, which now is not a big deal with all the trucking and Amazon and everything that we had, but the biggest difference besides the language, because it's not just the accent, you got to learn a whole nother part of our English language. But it was the food. You know, we really miss the food. The food is different, but now you get used to it. You know how everybody eats, and you can eat what you want. And, you know, now they have food everywhere. We didn't grow up on Mexican food, but I've learned to eat me some flour tortillas.
The best kind of tortillas, for sure. Okay.
So I'm good.
Okay, so in that upbringing, in those transitions, how did God play a role in all of that? How did you grow up in all these different places and develop and keep your relationship with God, I guess is what I'm asking.
I think my mom was the main person who instilled in us about having a relationship with God and what Jesus was about. And our family started a church, and we were used to going to that church. It was in our neighborhood. All of our family belonged to it. You know, we went to that church on Sundays. We had the pastor's anniversary and all that, like, you know, people are used to. But you don't always understand, and it's not always explained to you. Like, today, people are more open about conversations. I came up in the old church, so it was never really explained. It's just something that you did. Okay, yeah. You get up on Sundays, you go to church. That's what we do. And it's been more now learning that God has a path for everybody. Mm-hmm. And he directs that path, and he gets you to where he wants you to be for his purpose, and you don't even realize why. Like, I knew I was the oldest out of 6 kids that my mom raised. And my mind used to be like, ooh, I don't want no kids. And oh my gosh, all I do is watch babies. And I don't get to play, and I don't get to do these things. And I remember seeing movies where there was always that one family member that had to take care of the elderly parents, and they never got to see their dreams or be a part. So in my mind, I kept thinking, I'm going to get away from home. I'm going to get away from home. I'm going to get to go. I'm going to get to go here and there and do this and that. And so when the opportunity came, I jumped on it. Yeah. You know, and I just haven't been back home since. But it was like, for whatever reason, it was meant for me to leave. I can't really explain it any other way. Like, he never showed me a vision where, okay, I'm going to send you to Texas, and when you get to Texas, I'm going to do this, this, and this. I didn't know where I was going. Mm-hmm. You know, I just knew when I had an opportunity to move, I was going. And it just happened to be the South, just happened to end up in Texas. And by me being here in the church that I did end up choosing and joining, it was like I learned things about myself in a relationship with God, and it was making sense of everything that went on in my life. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know why I had to come to Texas to get it, because God is everywhere and he has people everywhere, but it was just, that was my place to be here, to be in Texas, and I learned things about him that I've heard all my life, But now I had an understanding. Like I really got an understanding for somebody who's really able to teach me that. So you don't always know. I've had some visions about things. It's like I did have the desire to move. You know, I had that desire to move. To me, he probably placed things in me, like the movies I saw, and the desire that I did want to move at home. So that way I knew I wanted to go when the opportunity came and meant go. But he doesn't always do that.
Yeah. And sometimes, like what I hear really is just a tugging on your heart.
Yeah.
A tugging, that desire that led you here. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I had stayed in Delaware?
I do. And I don't think some of the experiences I had, or even the experience I had with the relationship with God and what I've learned about Him since I moved, would have been the same. I think I would have just missed out on that, on some things in life that I got to experience.
Okay. And so, thinking back on your life, if you could think about, like, I know you said you're not really sure, kind of, but like, if you had to guess, what do you believe your purpose was being here in Texas?
I'm still working on that.
But I love that because I've talked to so many people, especially women, who are still trying to figure out their purpose. Like, you know, why am I here? What am I doing? All these things. And some people get a quick answer, but that is not everybody's story. And I feel like that is just so okay. You know, it doesn't have to be this quick answer. Part of it is just really just trusting God. If God gave you a tugging and told you a desire to come to wherever, just trust that He will show up in those places. And so I'll say for me, like, you are a big part of my childhood, really my entire life. If you had not been down here, I was so disconnected, or grew up always feeling so disconnected from family because we were the only ones in Texas. But you were a piece of that. You and Sean were a piece of my family that I got to have, you know. And I don't take that lightly because that's a big deal. Family is very important. It really, really is. And so another thing that I really wanted to talk about with you, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And being a person that literally all my life I've known you and watched you. You were my big cousin. I am so glad that you are still here. I'm so glad that you are a survivor. But I really want to talk about that journey for you. What has it been like?
Well, starting off, I feel like I started, and maybe I'm kind of in the middle of what's going on. Mm-hmm. I don't even feel like that part is even over yet. It's like finishing up that part and getting ready for something new. But when I first started off, it was like one day I was just cleaning out my closet. I felt something like water dripping on my arm, and I thought, what could be dripping on me in my closet? And so I'm looking at the ceiling to see if it's holes or something. It wasn't raining. And then I realized it came from my breast. So I'm feeling my breast, and I don't feel any lumps or anything, and where it leaked out at. So then I felt my other breast, and I felt kind of like a lump. So I was like, okay, well, let me go to the doctor and get this mammogram done. I haven't had it done. I know they want you to do it every year, and it's been a couple years now. Let me go and find out, make sure. So when I go, I get the testing done, and I let them know that I felt a lump in my left breast, and my right was leaking. They told me, oh, your left breast is fine. It's okay. We see what you're talking about. You might have been like in an accident or something where maybe it kind of pulled in and created a lump. But we think we seen something on the other side. So I'm like, okay, what they think they saw? Because I didn't feel anything. And you're always taught, give yourself these breast exams. And, if you feel like you should feel a lump or something like that. So I'm like, I didn't feel anything. Well, they did find something on my right breast. And I was diagnosed with 3 different types of breast cancer. Mm-hmm. They ended up finding something in my left lung, so I also was diagnosed with a lung cancer. Then with the breast, it wasn't even like a lump where you would feel it. I had actually had to go in and get a biopsy for them to go in to actually see it, because it was like hidden up under a rib or something like that. And so I was just going through the doctor, I guess, because I've heard about it and I didn't have all the information at the time. It was just like, okay. Then they finally scheduled me to go see the doctor after my test results. And I was told one of the things you don't do, you don't go to the doctor by yourself. So, so my daughter was with me the whole time. She'd been to all my treatments with me and things like that. So we went that day. They told me what it was. I was kind of assuming that that's what it might be. They explained to me what was going to go on, what was going to have to go on. And it was so weird because the doctors would always do this. Now, how many times have you ever had doctors
Never.
and they'd be like this? And I'm like, why are they touching me? They would be coming over. Just tell me what I need to be doing. And so that particular day just happened to be my daughter's birthday. And we had already planned it. I said, okay, after we go to doctor stuff, we're going to go out. We're going to get the pedicures and manicures and stuff. Well, she didn't know that I had already talked to the owner and told him, now when she come in, I want her to get the massage thing too. Yeah. He said, okay, because she'd been talking about a massage. I said, but we ain't going to have time to go get that. We got to do something else. He said, okay. So we got in there and we getting her toes and stuff done. And she got the massage and she was so excited because I didn't want her to remember that day that was the day the doctor said Mommy had cancer.
Yeah.
Because I wanted her, and it was on her birthday. It was like, oh, why? And so I got through that. The surgeon called and said, okay, we got you scheduled for surgery. And I thought, crap, already? I didn't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know anybody to talk. Who can I talk to tell me? I don't know. I'm thinking, and so, okay, that's what we gonna do, and then just going through, finding the different people that I did reach out to and find out, like we do have a family member that's been through it. And my mother was diagnosed like 3 months after I was. And then reaching out to co-workers and saying, hey, what's going on and this and that. So we had the blood tests and blood work and stuff done. It wasn't genetic. So it wasn't something that runs in our family per se. And those who had been through it, everybody is diagnosed with something different. Nobody had anything exactly like you had, but they can kind of tell you, okay, well, this is how I felt and this is what I went through. So I had those who would say, just stay in that word. Stay in the word. You may not realize it the day the doctor tells you, but it might, something that hits you like a week or two later or a month later, you'll realize, oh, I was diagnosed, with cancer. And so my thing is, my experience before this and different things in life, you just don't tell everybody your business when you first find out stuff, because people react a different way, and I knew I didn't want nobody around me negative. I didn't want to hear any negative thoughts. I did tell, of course my immediate family knew. I let my mom know, because I know my mom will pray. She's not going to be, oh God. And of course she's a mama, so sure she was worried about a baby. But, that experience going through it and surprised the doctors pat me all on my shoulder. And, I'm worried about my daughter and we going out to celebrate her birthday and things like that. I did not realize until like months later that God had already put a peace in me. He already gave me a peace that it was like past what you would say, past your understanding. Peace past your understanding. He already gave me a joy and a peace. And I also had a feeling, one of the scriptures I think about is how all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. And so I said, for whatever. And then it's like, many are called, but few are chosen. So I'm like, okay, well, this time he chose me. And I'm thinking, okay, everybody else got COVID. I didn't get COVID. Everybody else get this. I didn't get that. And so I was like, okay, well, this is the thing he chose me for. I don't know why, but I know what I got to do. Every day he wakes me up, that means get up. Get up and keep going. If he wakes you up, get up and keep going. As long as I'm able and I can use my hands and feet and do for myself. And even when I couldn't, that it was so many people that came out and just helped and was there for me when I couldn't drive myself, and my coworkers would pick me up and things like that. It's like, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then eventually the word got out. Yeah, my daughter has cancer. Yeah, my cousin has cancer. Yeah, my coworker had. And I just tell myself, keep going, no matter how you feel. If he wake you up, keep going. Well, one of my coworkers, her mother found out she had stage 4 lung cancer. Not a smoker. They don't know where it even came from. She just didn't feel good, and they took her one day. So she asked me, my mom says she wants to see you. Will you go, and over? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I hadn't driven on that side in years. And okay, I'll make it. And okay, Lord, if this is you telling me to go visit this lady, you'll get me there and back. So I drove myself over there, and I'm sitting and talking to her, and she's just talking about her relationship with the Lord and the dreams the Lord has given her. And I'm like, so why am I here? You don't hear me? Why am I here? And she didn't even speak English. She only spoke Spanish, so her daughter had to interpret everything. Oh, wow. So while she was interpreting stuff, I was telling her daughter, you can go on the internet and find things, but don't let it overwhelm you. Don't get on there and it gets you so overwhelmed that you get upset and stuff. Just get off of it. Let your mom go outside every day. I said, when that sun comes up, take her on that back patio and let her just enjoy the sunlight, enjoy the Lord, and whatever needs to be done. And so her mother said, I appreciate you coming. You will forever be my family, and you are my sister in Christ. And I said, okay. And then my coworker told me after I left, her mother got up and started cleaning the house and doing all kind of stuff and wanted to go to the store where before she was just laying around. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, Lord, thank you for using me, because I didn't know, how he was going to do that. But it's like, okay, so that keep going, because I don't know who's watching, who's looking, who he needs to know. And her mother passed away in June. But since her mother, because of the relationship she had with God, she was like, my mother was saying, if you want to see me again, you have to have that relationship with the Lord so we can be together later. So just to hear that and know I witnessed that, and I can reaffirm with my coworker that remember what your mother told you. Now Thea is talking to you. Remember my mama and me, and she said that she wanted me to look after you. She knew you was in good hands. That she wanted you to have that relationship with God. So it's like, to me, what came out of that.
That's beautiful.
Not ever knowing how God had planned to use any of that, not knowing that she would lose her mama and, not be healed or whatever. But it's like she was doing everything she could, trying to look up everything online. What do you do? What do you eat? What do you do? And so I appreciate God using me in that way. It was another lady that came to us new that year who had been through breast cancer, and hers had been 15 years. And so it ran in her family. So it was different family members who had dealt with it, and her mom and things like that. And so with her, they ended up finding it again. So we would sit and talk to each other, but we encouraged each other every day. But that helped, and I couldn't, and I would have my moments and different things I think about, and I could die tomorrow, but who knows what day, people come, some babies don't make it in the world. I've made it 60 years, it's like, so who am I to complain about that? But the biggest thing to me, out just side of the tree, is the people that he put there, and the people that came forth in the time when I needed them. And it was like, okay, God, you got jokes. Because it was weird how when I picked a doctor, we found my oncologist and where I was going to go for my treatments and all that, things like that. And I was just like, I don't know. I don't even know what the doctor was called until now, I was like, okay. So we found it. My primary care doctor is wonderful, and thank you for the referral for Dr. Wall. She is really good. And my but when I went to the treatment center where I got my treatments, everybody I met, the nurse who came out to get me, because you know how they always have a nurse come out and get you and put you in the room and wait for the doctor. So her name was Angel.
Oh.
So she was my angel who came and got me. And then it was the other ladies that worked in the office, the receptionists, the ladies who scheduled appointments, the ladies who go over the process of this is what's going to happen, this is how your treatments are. They all had the same name as my coworkers. I mean, the same name, the same ethnicities, everything. Like the little Hispanic lady was the same as the Hispanic lady in my office. The little white lady was the same as the white lady. The black lady was the same, had the same amount of kids, same personalities, everything. And I'm like, God, you got you. But it was, to me, it was my confirmation that he got there before I did.
Yeah, that's good.
And he let me know, I'm already here. I'm already ahead of you, and I already got you covered. You see? Because I got them all here, right here for you.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, God. All right. Then I had an old classmate that contacted me who was an elder. And I'm like, okay, the scripture said, if any among you who are sick, you go to the church among the elders and they pray. I'm like, okay, God. Okay, all right, you know. And I'm just like, he got jokes, he humors and stuff. Never even imagined it's because he had already put a piece in me about that I could even feel that way about it. And so when I would read different things online, that's a lot of cancer patients would say, you got to stay positive.
Yeah.
You got to stay positive. And if you had the relationship with God, you know, stay in that word. Stay in that word. So I did. I had, you know, people praying, and even like my brother, he said, my friend is going to contact you. He's a nutritionist. And he was like, yeah, I've helped ladies who've gone through these treatments. This is what you need to eat. So when he was telling me all the things I need to eat, it was so many things I had already stopped eating that it wasn't even because he was like, don't do the dairy and don't. And I said, well, I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't already do that. But don't do this. And I said, I don't eat that. Yeah. So I'm good. Yeah, I like this. I like that. So I'm good because it's food I like. So he was telling me, and most of it is vegetables and fruit. And you have to have the protein, but that wasn't no big deal because it's like, it was certain proteins that I don't eat anyway. Yeah. Because my body already reacts. So it was like, okay, I like that. I can eat this. I can eat that. And then it's like, God even sent this person. And then I realized what was actually on there that I could eat, because a lot of people would be like, oh, you can't eat this, or why can't you eat it? And it's like, it's not that I can't eat it, it's what I'm choosing to do. I choose, somebody told me this is what you can do, so I chose to do that. And it was like, that's why he created a garden. It's like we always hear about in the beginning and how he created this garden. It's like everything that I was learning was the vegetables and how important it is to eat your vegetables, and the fruit, and how the fruit nourishes your body, and you know, the different benefits that we get from different fruits, and the herbs and the spices and the teas. And it's like, oh, that's why it's a garden. You know, because you don't hear in the beginning, like we hear later on how people ate goats and, you know, pigs and cows and all that kind of stuff. But in the beginning, it was the garden. So you eat the vegetables and you eat your fruit and you have the herbs, and the herbs are healing, and you find out, oh, these herbs heal your body from this. And I was like, okay, God, well, I can eat it.
Because God created everything to serve everything. Yeah, there's a purpose for it all. And just like we serve the earth also serves us.
And so it's good. And I still find out, you know, later that there are all kind of flowers that people use that make teas and stuff like that are good. So it's been, you know, I'm glad I got through my treatment, and the nurse team, which they call your care team, that they were absolutely awesome. They were just awesome, you know, doing what they had to do and stepping in and, you know, just being there for you. It's not like going to the doctor's office and you sitting out there waiting, and then when you get in there, you're not in there for 10 minutes, and you don't even know. They be like, well, let me see, open your mouth, say, oh, okay, well, check your ear, well, you don't have a temperature. All right, then, well, it look like everything okay, we're just going to order it. It was none of that. It was like, oh, come in and sit down. And so, okay, it was like I had a staycation. Because you go in, and when you get the treatments, and I had to get the port in and get the chemo treatment, I chose chemo because I didn't know what else, and it was like one of the types of breast cancer I had was one of the ones that are very fast moving ones, and it's like, we can't wait, we got to start treatment now, because I was at stage 2, and even though stage 2 may not be as bad, it's like, but it can move quickly. So we had to get in there. So I'd get in there, and you actually laid back in lazy boy chairs, which is one of my favorite pieces of furniture. And you can relax and sit back, and then they bring you these warm blankets. Oh my gosh, and they turn on the TV for you, and I would listen. And there would be YouTube videos that I watched that said, these are songs that heal the body. So it's different little songs at different certain keys that you can play to heal your body. So I would play the songs, and I'd be sitting back. I had that warm blanket on, and I'd be like, yeah, and I could look out the window. I always try to sit by the window because it has all the trees, and you see the squirrels, and then they had the rose bushes, and I'd be like, yeah. But I had to learn that it did affect my body, and how it would affect my body, and everybody's different, so I had to pay attention to my body. And after getting the chemo treatments, it would be like 3 days after the treatment, I wouldn't feel sick to my stomach. I thank God they give you nausea pills and stuff, and I'm just glad I wasn't one of those that had constantly threw up because of my stomach. But it was like I would be tired. I could tell my body was tired. And one of my friends, she lost her daughter to cancer. And I kept being tired, and they said, well, you got to get up and move. You got to get up and walk, and you got to get up and move and get up and walk. And I said, you don't understand. I'm probably 5 feet from the bedroom to the kitchen, but I can't make it to 5 feet without sitting down on the sofa. It's like, I know I can't go outside and walk. Because if a dog come, I ain't running. But it's like, knowing my body and how it would do, and my supervisor was awesome, and they would be like, okay, just let me know if you start feeling bad, we'll get you home. And don't worry about it, we'll get your car there, whatever, we'll make sure you get home. And I'd have to lay down, and then my friend was telling me, who had lost her daughter, she said, you kind of remind me of Tiffany. She was like that. She said, you might need some oxygen or something. So I called the doctor's office, and they said, go to the emergency room. But when I got to the emergency room, they had told me your red blood cell count is down. And that's a big part of what gets that oxygen through your body. They said, we're going to have to give you a blood transfusion. So I'm like, okay. Well, you don't have any religious reasons or anything to not take it? No. Well, I've never had one before. No. Okay, well, we'll get it. So finally, they gave me the blood transfusion. I jumped right up and everything. I said, okay, but thank God that he put somebody there who knew and could see it, because me just telling the doctors over the phone, they was like, well, you just need to get up and walk around. Don't lay down, keep getting up. And I'm like, no, I get up. You don't understand. I'm not a person that lays in the bed. I like to get up and and I'm like, something ain't right. But just knowing he gave me a peace through it and understanding that's what his peace is. When you can get through it without oh God, what am I am I gonna die? Am I gonna do this and stuff? And of course I worried about my daughter, but I kept going. And then she told me one day, Mama, if it hadn't been for you and the way you reacted things, I wouldn't have made it. She said, because even when I heard the doctor tell you that day, I had to go in the bathroom and just cry some. And every now and then when I think about it, I just cry like I could have lost my mama. She said, but you kept going. And you never changed how you are. You still stayed the same person. She said, so that's what helped me get through. And I'm like, okay, all right. And even the ladies, I tell the ladies at work, because it's like 1 in every 8 women who get breast cancer, that I was one of the 8. and hope that none of y'all ever have to go through it or experience that, and stuff. But it the whole thing, I would not made it without the relationship that I have with the Lord. And I really think he may have chosen me for this particular thing because he knew who I am. Like somebody else wouldn't have reacted the same or did the same and just would have gave in and never had hope or anything. But he knows who he created me to be and what he created me for, and whatever he chooses to use it for, I'm just supposed to get up and keep going.
That is so beautiful, because when I'm just listening to you talk, and I'm sure everyone can see it, I believe it. I believe the peace. I believe the faith. I believe the trust. And I was telling you earlier how you're the first person that I'm able to touch that was affected by it. And following that, just having friends or people that I know in the church dealing now with this same scenario. And the key is, and I'm hearing you, is your relationship with God. Because if you start believing the lies, and if you start believing what you're hearing or looking on the internet and seeing these things and allowing it to creep in your mind and push God out, you can succumb to that easily. But staying focused on God and his plans for your life, that is the key, because he knows the beginning, he knows the end, he knows the in between, he knows what his plans are for your life. So I think that just hearing it come out of your mouth, I mean, I'm here, so I see it, I saw it, but hearing it come out of your mouth and really see it, that's just the key. That's the key.
It is, and he does have a plan. Like, just like you talked about, you were looking for somebody that maybe could come stay in the house. And I was like, well, if you don't find anybody else, I will. Because I couldn't decide, okay, where am I going to move? I knew I wanted to move, but I was looking to eventually get another house. And it's like, where do I want my house to be? Am I going to stay in Texas or go back to Delaware? Am I going to move to another part of Texas? Am I moving out of Cedar Hill to Duncanville or Mansfield or something? What is going to happen? And it's like I could never really get a decision about what I'm really going to do. And then when you say, okay, well, you can move in, I said, okay, well, I'll just be there like a few months and I'll just, save my money up, and then I'll decide where I'm going to get where I'll get the house at or what I'm going to do. And then it was like going to the doctors, they would always ask me, do you stay by yourself? And I'm like, no, I stay in the house with family. I go to another doctor, do you stay by yourself? No, I stay with family. And then I like, okay, God knew, I guess I didn't need to stay by myself.
Yeah.
I needed to be in the house with somebody. And it's like, okay, he took care of all of that. All right, so he got me on all sides.
Every side. That's so beautiful.
Front, back, in between.
on the diagonal. Different things. I love that. I hope that is what people get from this conversation is God is already there. You may have gotten the news last week, but he was already there. And he is there with you. You just have to be looking for God and seeking God. That's something that I talked about in live Bible study this morning. Make a choice today to consciously look for the beauty of God, because we get so wrapped up in diagnosis or life challenges that we forget, and we start getting distracted and not being able to see God in those places. And so I hope that that's what most people get from this conversation.
I really do. I really hope so. I didn't have to worry about losing my hair, because it was like so many women have come before me that lost their hair. Yeah. And it's not even from cancer, alopecia runs in their family or something like that. So now you see so many women that just go bald. Yeah. Instead of doing that. But I knew I had options. Yeah. We wear wigs, we wear a weave, we can go bald if we want to as women, so that wasn't an issue. I felt comfortable with that. I had to make a decision how I wanted my surgery to be done. Did I want them to just remove the breast that had the lump that they found? Do I want both breasts removed? Do I want to go to the plastic surgeon where I want them to reconstruct my breasts and all like that? And I thought, at 60, I'm not planning on giving milk. And I called and make a couple of phone calls to some ladies that I knew had been through breast cancer, and it's like, how did y'all feel about the situation? What do you think? And it's like, it's very personal. It's like everybody has to make that decision on their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's because some women may feel like, well, I can't be without breasts.
Yeah.
I have to. So you have that option, and you don't even, you can go to the plastic surgeon and he can do different things, and or you can get the padded bra. They gave me stuff and different things that I can wear if I decide I want to put the bra on. And I'm like, no, I'd rather just get them both removed. I don't have to worry about one being more than the other, because they were like, if we go in there and we end up having to remove more than we thought we did. I thought, well, I don't want to get in there and then you end up removing this whole breast, and then I got to decide on this one. It's like, no, let me go one time, get them all removed. I don't feel like there's no need for me to have breasts, and it's like I get to go bra free. I ain't got to worry about what size, how it fit, are they hanging, I need them pushed up here and all that. It's like, But everybody's different. Some women still want that, they still want the bra. And I can understand if you young, like there's so many people that are younger now that do it, and you still want kids, or you're like, I'm just 30 some years old, how do I go without my breasts? Or you still might have a kid later or something like that. And so everybody's different, everybody has to go through a different thing, but just making those decisions, and it's like, dog, I never thought I had to make a decision to get my breast removed. Because you hear about it, but if it's not, like you said, immediate family or your very close friends or something like that, then you don't even know to even think like that.
Yeah.
You don't even.
Absolutely.
But my lung has been fine. The radiologist said I didn't need any radiation treatment. They didn't see where anything was there where I needed any further treatment. So right now I'm just going back for my checkups and my annual scans and things that I go through.
That's good. That's good. Any advice? I know you said quite a bit that I think is very, very encouraging, uplifting, and will help people change their perspective about the situation. But if you could tell them one thing, what would that be?
I don't think that if it had to be one thing, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ and the Lord, you need to have that relationship with Him. Because you don't know when you're going to need to, what's going to happen in your life, when or whenever that you're going to have to hold on to the hem of that garment.
Yes, Lord.
You just don't know, whatever it is. It may not ever be cancer, and I thank God if you never have to go through that, but it's like, people have been through where they amputated their legs and their arms and stuff like that they don't have the use of their legs, and it's like you may not never even thought that you had to do that. My father had to go through that, but he was very independent, and we didn't have to do stuff for him. He did it. It wasn't like we had to wait on him. He got up and he was able to feed himself, get up, drive, work on the car, show us how to work on the car, just things like that. But I would definitely, because now it's male and female. It's not even just women. Mm-hmm. But male and female is get your mammograms and whatever other tests you got to run. And don't think, well, I'm just this age or that age. Because they recommend now, if it runs in your family, it runs in your family, get tested. Get tested early. Because it used to be women had to wait till they were 35, 40, and then they start the mammograms. It's much earlier now. So it's ways that you can examine yourself. And even if you feel like it's nothing there, if you want it, request it from your doctors if you haven't become of that age yet, and get it done. Because like me, I didn't feel nothing where they said they found something.
Yeah.
So I would never even thought nothing of it, But it's like, get the test done. And even the pap smears, because they was thinking they found something in my uterus. So I ended up going to the gynecologist, and I ended up with this bleeding when I had already went through menopause, and so I had to go and find out why all that was going on. But it was nothing cancerous there. It was just inflammation. So I was thankful about that. But I would go to the doctor and, make sure I get those tests done. I would watch. I really would, kind of think about the things you want to eat and getting. It's things now that's out there that they'll tell you, and it's a lot of information, and everybody got something going on. It's like, okay, you said eat this, but you said don't eat it.
Yeah.
You know. But you find out about food and what food is good, and it doesn't always have to be like organic. They'll say, well, organic is better than buying this, and then you're thinking, well, the prices of everything is higher. But just make sure you eat your more fruits and your more vegetables and the things that you can eat that your body's not already allergic to, like I was, and make sure you drink your water, that you're supposed to be drinking your water and things like that. And your kids too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you start them now, they don't have those habits, and just paying attention to them, because kids get cancer too.
Yeah.
And it's more and more of them that's getting cancer sometimes, and even older people. Like a lot of people that I know that are like 90 years old and 100, like Uncle Bubba just turned 100, and they're late 80s and stuff, and it's like they don't even have some of the illnesses that they're finding in younger people, and I believe it's because they didn't eat the fast food. They didn't eat all the processed food. We had the gardens when I was growing up, and you got the fresh vegetables, and you canned them, and you ate them all winter like that. And I think that's part of why they're probably healthier than some of us younger ones. But yeah, it would be diet, your relationship with the Lord, and getting to your doctor and making sure, if nothing else, you just get your annual checkups.
And make sure that you're okay. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dorcia, for having this conversation with me, with us, the community. We greatly appreciate it. You said a lot of very important things, and what I admire the most about this conversation, because really, we see each other every day, but we don't really talk about these things. And I just really admire your perspective and how you chose to seek God and not the information on the internet, even if you did look, but you chose to really stay fixed and focused on your relationship with Him. And I believe watching you, that made the difference for sure. Okay, for sure. So I encourage you guys to do the same. Just change your perspective, and through all these situations, have hope. Remember that God is with you, and that He is already ahead of you. He is where you are 10 years from now, or going to be 10 years from now. He's already got you covered on all sides. So trust Him and believe that. I love you guys, and I thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great one.